Coming up, our thoughts on women and aging.
I go, they can't see me like Houdini, Lamborghini. It go, they can't see me like Houdini, move discreetly. It go, they can't see me like Houdini, Lamborghini. It go.
Welcome to Misbehaving Women, where we unapologetically dive into the issues that matter most to women, from wellness to feminism and everything in between. No sugarcoating, no filter.
We're here to spark conversations about the real life challenges we face, the topics that often get swept under the rug, and the ones men need to hear about if they want to truly support the women in their lives.
I'm Kelli Taylor, a best-selling author, award-winning acupuncturist, and hormone coach for women's health. I'm passionate about helping women live their best and healthiest lives.
I'm Rebecca McMillan, founder of Worthfulness.com, an online self-guided program that teaches teen girls and young women real tools and concepts they use to support unshakable self-worth for life. Together, we're here to shake things up and have some...
I make some real. Sorry. Okay, so
do that again.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1.
Together, we're here to shake things up and have some real, no BS conversations. I saw Baby Girl over the weekend. A friend for her birthday wanted to go have lunch and go see Baby Girl.
I don't even know what Baby Girl is. What's Baby Girl?
Oh, girl.
What is Baby Girl?
So funny. I didn't know anything about the movie going, just that Nicole Kidman's the star, and we all know how she's my number one.
Okay.
And boy, did she solidify that in this role as like the greatest actress. I don't want to say that. Like Viola, Octavia, Meryl, they're all there. But like after this, I don't see how there's even a question of this woman's being like the best of all time. So I actually think if you don't know, it's good to go not knowing what it's about. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. You need to know a little bit. You need to be very comfortable with sexuality if you're going to go see it in the theater.
Okay.
And it was funny because the theme, let's just say, is about the exploration of a sub-dom relationship. And it was so weird because we were just talking about that with the enema kinks. And then I see this movie about it. I was like, which they are not at all exploring the enema kink aspect of it. But it was really good. It was.
So is it kind of like a 50 Shades?
Way more like Nicole. Her vulnerability in this is mind-blowing to me.
Really?
I guess it's like a 50 Shades, but the reverse, right? Like the woman has the power, the young guy is the one that's like, dominating her, pleasing her, or whatever. Like I do like exploring the difference where the woman is the successful, powerful, like, famous person. So in that way, but yeah, anyways, it's really good. I highly recommend it if you're comfortable with sexuality. If not, wait till it's on a streamer and watch it at home. Don't go to the theater. It was a real tough, it was a very tough switch going from that to coming home and playing with a 3-year-old. I'll say that. I felt like I needed a buffer because your mind, like my friend I saw, she keeps texting me, can't stop thinking about it. Can't stop thinking about it. Like it really gets in your head. Anyways, that was really good. Evie went to her first birthday party for a 5-year-old older girl who had a baby rave theme, which was the parents pulled off amazing. I know. I was like, what are we saying to her? We're bringing her to a nightclub? But, no, the parents did an incredible job. It looked really cool. The kids loved it. It's kind of like a dance party for kids, but it was dark and there was neon stuff glowing and they could draw stuff neon. And I did think halfway through they like bring out tables and it's a pizza party intermission. And I thought, why don't all dancing floors do this? Right? Wouldn't you always just love at the club? Like, let's pull out and have some pizza and get back to dancing, right? I was like, we could learn.
Dance off your pizza.
Yeah, totally. And the only other thing that's gone on is, which made this morning's setup much more challenging, my closet, the shelf in my closet fell down, which was a terrifying sound to hear. And then, of course, all of my equipment for this is at the bottom of my closet, and I can't quite get in it, so I'm pulling out clothes. And it was so weird. I found remember I told you about the metal enema bucket that the guy made me from the clinic? I found that! that. I was like, is this a sign from the universe for me to do it?
You're supposed to do your NOS again.
Because I didn't know where it was. So yeah, that was weird. Anyway, so yeah, I got to deal with that, which I guess it's a sign that I don't need all those clothes. I don't know.
I feel like that's like my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Like it's like when I look up, I'm like, oh God, I hope that this is like really well secured. Because I've got big tubs that I have on these shelves.
Exactly.
Like tubs on top of tubs.
Oh, I don't have that. Thank God. It was not well secured. That's what I learned.
Okay. Because I like to switch out my clothes. So my tubs are either summer clothes and then I take those out and then I switch them.
Nice. Wow, you do that every season?
Yeah, pretty much so.
Good
I have clothes that are like both year round, but then I've got like the staples.
Nice.
And then lately what I've been doing is just taking all my summer clothes and packing them in my great big suitcase and leaving them. And putting it out to the universe. I'm ready to go anytime. You want to take me to a hot destination.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so that's what I did the last 2 trips. I like just put everything in there and just said, wait, let's just see.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the only other exciting thing is I am so excited that we finally got our video up. We are on Spotify video. So I was watching us on the big screen at home last night, which seemed super narcy, but I was just so excited we got it working. And I could see it. And it was quite the journey to get there. And it might take a few extra days for the video to go live on Spotify, but if you want to watch us on video, now you can. So we're really excited.
You sent me a picture of that, and I immediately felt uncomfortable. I'm like,
what?
You felt like, oh my gosh, we're too big. We're too big on this screen.
Well, most people,
too much of us.
I think most people would watch on the phone. It did make me think, oh my God, HD. Like, because I was very close to the camera. I'm sitting further back this time.
Well, do you ever watch when you've got because I've got a great big screen. Like we have an 80-something.
Oh my God.
Screen. So when you watch movies, you see every wrinkle, you see everything. And you're like, oh, that's what you really look like.
Yes. Yeah. I feel actually sorry for the actors when I see that. Because I thought when they filmed that, it probably HD wasn't a thing yet. And they didn't know we'd be seeing their pores,
But we are.
Now people are like with a machine airbrushed before they get filmed so that there's like a layer over their face.
Oh, and sometimes you can see like how thick the makeup is. It's so, I'm just thinking like, I don't even know how that's coming off. So.
I know. Yeah, no one could touch them because it would put an indent because it's like so thick.
It's so thick. And it looks weird. Like it looks unnatural.
Yes.
But I guess when you're far away, then it just makes your face look.
Totally. When I was in Ireland, I was on a morning TV show and they would do the TV makeup for my face. And then I'd have to go to work right away. So then I'd be out in the normal world and people would go and like do like jump takes and double takes as I went through because it was so severe. Like it looks great on TV, but in person it's like, it's too much. It looks scary.
Yeah, and it's so toxic because the makeup that they use in the film industry is so toxic.
Yeah.
Even for models and things like that, crazy.
Yeah. So there's the one negative for the beautiful people. They're wearing toxic makeup.
They are. And they know it too. It's not like they don't. Like I see a lot of people, I do the facial rejuvenation.
Yeah.
And they'll come in and they're just, especially for the actresses, where they'll come in and their skin's all broken out and they're just, because they've been doing a series or they've been on a shoot, and they come in and it's just like their skin is just detoxing. It's just all that stuff is trying to come out and
gross.
Yeah.
Poor people. Okay, well, I feel a bit bad for them then.
It is. They get paid well, I guess. So. And it goes away. It's not like it's forever, but I don't think it's good for you long term to have all that crap on your face. But
right. So the soap actors are the soap actors are the ones to really worry about because they're in that every day for years.
Yeah. I don't think I have much to say about what's been going on. 2025 so far is like, fingers crossed, we're gonna knock on wood. Like, so far everything has been pretty easy, and I feel like I just want to roll into it. Not to say that I don't want any lessons in life or anything for growth, but
Yeah.
it's just sometimes nice to kind of ease into the year, and I feel like so far it's been easing into the year.
What about I started, so I saw your thing, I started following. What about the My Flow? That's
Oh,
launching.
yes. Okay, that's launching. That's launching in March. I'm doing a podcast that's just me. They're going to be really short episodes to just talk about women's periods. So we're just going to talk about their cycles. We're going to give, or are going to give practical advice. So we're going to talk about the different things that happens with the women's cycles. We'll probably go a little bit outside that because we'll talk about fertility. We'll talk about perimenopause, menopause. We'll talk about teenagers and the transitions with hormones. But basically everything will be around hormones. But I'm going to do really short episodes to just kind of give information and practical advice that you can take and start to implement. So
Amazing.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I've had so many women ask me so many questions. Like, I get so many DMs and emails about things, and I just thought, what if I just put it out there
Yeah.
in these little small episodes
Digestible.
that allows, and then people have that and they can come back and listen to it.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be good, and it's kind of going to be an extension. So I do the hormone coaching, so it's just an extension of that, where if you're not sure, instead of having to book an appointment with me, you can go on and just see. So the appointments with me are kind of more specific for each woman, so we kind of get you started on things, but then if you have questions, you can always go to the podcast and get some information. So
it's exciting.
So, it is exciting. I'm excited to
it's definitely your passion. I would say that to everyone. I mean, I think you have more than one specialty. It's one of your specialties, but you're very passionate about it. So I think it will be amazing. So the Instagram is it My Flow, or is it?
Yeah. So we kind of, I want it, so it's My Flow, and then My Flow is taken.
Okay. So just to tell people to follow.
So it's My Flow and then period, because we're talking about periods.
Okay.
So
So at My Flow period.
At My Flow period. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so everyone check that out.
Bringing that up. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what do you mean you haven't had anything going on?
Well, I feel like because my life is so busy, it's like my thing. It's like, oh, what's new? Yeah.
It's you. It's part of your life.
That one in the middle. There you go.
There's so I'm just showing the video. If you go on Spotify, My Misbehaving Woman, I've got the white hoodie, which I love. It's so cold in Vancouver today, and this is so cozy. So we've got hoodies and sweatshirts, and I just, my mom texted me the other day, someone else, she's like, when she wears it out, you do get attention. A woman just like fell over on her knees, like laughing and just loved it. Like such big reactions. So I love that it's this kind of just subtle little club or movement. Like if you know what it really means to be a misbehaving woman. I love that. For our March. And we have more stuff coming out too, so we'll talk about that when it drops. But keep telling me your stories when you're wearing it and you're out there, the reactions you get.
I was going to say, the topic is about society's beliefs around women aging.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend, who did not know that we were doing this episode today, which I think is so interesting, she sent it to me yesterday.
Yeah.
Sent me a clip, and she says, you might find this interesting to talk on misbehaving women. And I said, okay. So I check it out, and it's about Brooke Shields. She just did a book, and it's called Brooke Shields is Not Allowed to Get Old. Thoughts on Aging as a Woman. And I've downloaded the book, so I've got the book. I have not started the book, and I'm really excited to kind of find out what her process has been being a famous woman. Mm-hmm. And famous in the sense that she's been doing this since she was a child. So I think that's crazy how society expects her to still look and be a certain way. And
Yeah.
she isn't. And I don't know if that's her take on it, but I'm assuming that she's grown into this beautiful woman. She's always been beautiful, but she's grown into this beautiful older woman. She clearly has stepped into her own power, which has allowed her to be so successful and have a career for this long and be a woman who, as far as I know, you can. I'm not the expert on pop culture, but I was going to say that she doesn't seem to have been one of the celebrities that has kind of fallen and gone on that hard road of drugs or alcohol or anything. She seems to kind of have stayed on
Like the other child stars.
Yeah, like
yeah,
a lot
she
of
never had that.
Yeah, and you know, there's probably multiple reasons why, but I love that she seems to have just really learned how to come into her own power. And so I love that about her.
I just got I was so overwhelmed. Oh my God, I found so many threads on this topic of people saying either I'm a woman, I'm getting older. How are you finding it? Or like women that are older, how will you notice that people treat you differently? And I just got lost reading so many women pouring in these comments that I will only read you a few, but I think it is so insightful and fascinating. One woman said, basically, once we are considered unfuckable, we cease to exist. Tons of women saying, I'm invisible. A woman said, two young employees were talking about 10-ish steps in front of me. I had my music playing. I was typing at my keyboard, and I heard them say, gosh, we're the only ones still here at the office. She just sat there looking at them like she was totally invisible. There was a positive. One woman said, I'm 81. She said she goes camping on her own. She brings her dog with her. She goes all over the States and travels by herself. People say, aren't you scared to travel on your own? She says, not in the US or Canada. But, you know, she said, I've been to 21 countries and 10 states in the last 5 years, all by herself. And she said when she does the international travel, she does go on like a organized, like, you know, a tour company bus thing. But very cool and inspiring. She's like, no, I'm redefining what it means to get older. A lot of women said the older I get, the less likely to be harassed by men. And that's awesome. Tons of women were saying that how that was the one perk is you don't have to deal with what they called like the male gaze, just the harassment, the hit, like rude comments, that all goes away, which has another side to explore and, you know, as well. Lots of women said that. One woman said, this is another interesting angle of this. That's why I said this could be a miniseries. She said, I haven't noticed much of a change. I should mention, though, that I've never been much of a looker. And my friends who were considered very beautiful, I've noticed how much they struggle with this. She said, I don't envy those friends because they've always had endless harassment. And now they really struggle with their identity and they're very depressed. And for me, it's all just been the same. I didn't notice any difference. This woman said, gross dudes don't hit on me and send me dick pics anymore. Winning. Another woman said, people look at my face when I talk now instead of my tits. My students treat me like a professor, not a fuckable challenge. And then another woman pointed out, when men age, they only gain power. They're called silver foxes. For us, it's the opposite, and it's so sad. Another positive was a woman said, my younger friends really take my advice to heart now, and I'm considered someone that has invaluable wisdom, and I love that. Another woman said, I keep telling my best friend we should become criminals because we're literally invisible. Another one was like, yeah, she commented, she's like, yeah, start shoplifting, very Gracie and Frankie coded. A lot of women said 50 was the turning point when they became invisible. Oh, this was so sad. A woman said, basically, it's like I'm slowly stopping being a girl, a woman, and I'm transmigrating into a person. I do much prefer being a human being, though, rather than an ambulatory container of sex organs. So lots of similar themes. I mean, it was so much insight. I was just so addicted to read it. I was like, wow. So these women are looking for somewhere to talk about it clearly and share and be open because, as we said when we thought about this topic, we don't know people really talking about all these little things that happen and all these subtleties about how women are treated.
Yeah. And part of me comes back to the thing is that why are we looking for this outside energy? Why does that outside energy mean so much to us? Why are we trying to fill ourselves with something from the outside? Because that comes from the inside, right? All the attention and everything is how can I say this?
It's nice to have if you welcome it, like if it's compliments. It does seem to be the beautiful woman that struggled the most.
But women are still beautiful even as they age. So this is my whole thing, is like, think about how many times people have given you compliments, and it's
Right.
just like, it has to be that cherry on top.
Yes.
It can't be the thing that fills us up.
Yes.
So in reading comments from women, I felt like I kept getting the same kind of theme over and over again too. But for me, it felt like more like the women were disappointed that the outside world didn't see them, and that lack of attention was what was kind of making them struggle, rather than figuring out from the inside. Am I making sense? Yeah. So,
well, maybe they should take worthfulness. What you're saying, it's
it's
those
exactly
concepts. Yeah.
It's exactly, because when we talked about what subjects we wanted to bring in, and this was one of them that you had said, hey, like, what about this? And I was like, exactly, because I feel like this is a lot of what our podcast is about, is that it doesn't matter. The outside world doesn't matter. What matters is what's on the inside. What are your own thoughts, feelings, and actions?
What do you believe?
Come back to that at every single conversation that we ever have. And it's like, what do we believe about ourselves? Because if the outside isn't giving you attention, you'll never notice that, and it'll never matter to you, because you are enough for yourself. You yourself are enough. Yeah. And all that other stuff is like, I don't want to spend my life filling myself up with other people's, I guess, again,
opinions.
Their opinions, but also their energy, which is filled with their own thoughts and words and actions of how they see me. And I don't want their energy. I want to create my own energy. So I feel like inside you, in order to truly shine and bloom, it has to be your own energy that comes out. And so all of those comments about the world treating you like you're invisible, again, I feel like that won't matter to you. You won't even notice that. That's not even going to be on your radar, because you are enough for yourself. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think that's asking a lot of someone to not notice that shift, though. I know what you're saying, that if you really do that well, you wouldn't notice. But for so many of these women that are older and live their whole life getting filled up that way, that's a big shift internally to make, right?
Oh, it's a huge shift. But what I'm saying to you, though, is that when you do the work,
you got to do the work to get there.
You got to do the work. That's the key, is that you got to do the work. So all of this isn't going to any longer mean anything to you. And if anything, what people will notice is that bright light that shines outward. Yeah. Because everybody has that inside. Yeah. So you work on that light, you work on the stuff that's on the inside. All of that will shine out so brightly that you're going to attract all the right things in your life, and all that other stuff that you think matters will no longer matter.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, actually, it's a big concept. I understand that.
Tough. It's well, I'm just thinking, for some of these women that for decades, and we're from a different generation, where they were told appearance is everything, right, by their moms. It's such a, actually, I saw that someone wrote, there were some beautiful essays I read too, that it's such a shift for, like, I just really feel bad for them. There's this great essay, if anyone has the interest, called A Personal, Professional, and Political Journey as a Feminist Gerontologist. So a woman that studied aging, and then when she started aging, really beautiful. And there's a synopsis at the beginning. I'll put a link in this show's notes so you could find it. You could just read the synopsis, or you could read the whole thing. Really, I was so moved. I will tell you just a couple of the things. There's a generation of women now who came of age before sexism and ageism had been named and challenged. So it gives them a lot to reconsider. The reflex of caring for all others first and putting ourselves last has to be repeatedly examined for them. That's what I was trying to think of when you were saying, like, I think for that generation, it's like, whoo, we're really asking them to do a 180. And then another woman said, we may be kinder, less critical of ourselves than others, content with one activity a day rather than 5 or 6. But in our round the clock sped up culture, what value is there in an afternoon spent with a cup of coffee with friends or a book? We may know more, understand more deeply, and come to know ourselves more fully. Some really beautiful insights and reflections from women as they've aged in totally different walks of life. Some women that were in the corporate world said suddenly people were listening to them like they listened to the men and their opinion mattered. Where when they were younger in their career, they were ignored, or someone would listen to them and then take their idea and say it again, and everyone would say, yes. Actually, I called my mom last night just to ask her, and she said, I wonder if there's a class aspect to this too, like, depending on how you're treated and what goes on. She said she's not sure if it's when she let her hair go gray or when she turned 70, because they were the same time, but that's when she noticed. And hers, she didn't notice anything bad. She said people were nicer to me. I noticed that. And she's always gone to the pool every day, the community center. And she's, she always talks to everyone there. She just said, yeah, people were nicer and more like gentle. And she's like, I can't quite put a word on it, but there is a difference in the interactions with everybody. So I don't think it's that she suddenly turned 70. It probably is she let her hair go gray. And so people see people differently.
Yeah, it's interesting because that was one of the things that I had researched was how does the corporate world see women getting older? Because there's, you hear all the horror stories of women who have had to struggle so hard to gain respect or to be able to have promotions. And a lot of the stuff that I read was actually super positive. And they were like, finally, people are listening to me. And I was like, oh, and I didn't expect that. I thought things would get worse, but it was like, oh no, finally people were actually giving them the credit that they deserved and being able to help them, or not help them, but allow them to be part of something to help others. And it seemed like some of the women were excited to be able to see the changes. Like they had to go through a lot of hardship, but they're seeing that the younger women are able to kind of move up and not have the same struggles that they had. And they were happy to mentor other girls. And I was like, wow, that's really beautiful. And again, it's like that thing from inside us has to come that light, right?
Yes.
And there's always struggle in all of the things that we're going to do. There's always going to be some type of struggle or something that we're going to have to work through. Because everything is in life, we're here to be able to grow and learn. So in order to fully access the lessons, there's going to be some, uncomfortable, challenging times. But through that, once you get through that on the other side, it felt like a lot of these women in the corporate world had kind of gotten to the other side. They had to get through that hardship, but then are now reaping the rewards of being successful and not giving up and sticking with it. Oh, it was kind of nice to read.
Yeah, that is nice. That is a huge shift, definitely. And women not feeling pitted against each other, and the older woman helping the younger woman and bring them up along and all that. Actually, that's a topic in Baby Girl. Oddly enough, it's about, that I would give too much away, but it is about that dynamic of the older woman considering the younger woman in the corporate world.
Yeah. And I definitely see that's one thing about society that I feel has happened a lot is pitting the women against each other.
Yeah.
And I truly, truly believe that if you can work on yourself and find your own inner power and know that you are competition for nobody, you are not. Like, I don't believe in that. Like, even, I've had many businesses and I feel, and actually I had this conversation with my girlfriend yesterday, like they're in a business and they have lots of competition, and they reach out to their competition to be able to say, hey, listen, if I can't fill these bookings, I'm going to send them to you.
Right.
And it's just, to me, that is how we should be working. And I feel the same thing too. Like, I feel like should be here working together, not trying to tear each other down, and not trying, and that's not just women against women. I think that's in everything. Like, if you understand that their competition doesn't exist except for in your head, like, you create that competition, right? And then that's the energy that you put out.
You'll attract.
Then you'll attract all of that. And it's just drama. That's just drama that you attract. I really love being able to work together, because I think that's where the power is. And I think one of my spiritual teachers, he always talks about ABG, always be giving. And I love that. And it's like, you should ABG, always be giving. And the energy that you put out in that's what comes back tenfold for us.
You know, that's a play on ABC, always be closing. Okay. Just in case anyone doesn't know, if you were never in sales, ABC's always be closing.
But he's always be giving.
I love that.
Yeah. And I like it too, because I think that my personal mantra is ABL. ABL, always be loving. Always be loving and kind, right? So if you're always loving and kind, obviously you got to start from the inside. In order for me to be authentic, you have to start that in the inside, and that resonates on the outside. But
I want mine to be ABG, but it's always be grateful, because I think if you are in gratitude energy, everything just flows.
But gratitude comes from also giving, right? Having that giving.
Absolutely.
And giving from a place of service to others. And that's what I think it comes down to. She was my friend was explaining this dynamics that they had with another company, and the abundance that you get when you truly want someone else to succeed. So you're giving from a place that of service to others, that you honestly want somebody else to succeed. Because, and I used to say, all the time, no one else is your competition, because no one else does what you do. So there can be 100 massage therapists out there. But each one of you, yes, you all do massage, but you all have a unique way of being able to do that, even though each one of you has been pretty much trained similarly, right? So, but you all have a unique component, and just your energy alone will attract certain people. And that's how I believe that you don't ever have to worry about that. And that's, I think, the thing about, we'll go back to the women, is that if you see other women as your competition, then you're just going to head down that drama kind of. And it doesn't serve you, doesn't serve anyone else. And you get into this drama, and then you're in this world of lack. So why not be abundant and be grateful and share? And then when we come back to the ageism, again, it's that thing is, just work on your own stuff and not worry about what everyone else thinks of you or how everyone else sees you. You're going to still show up. You're still going to be there. Your presence is going to be there. But when we're worried about how everyone else sees us or doesn't see us, that comes from the lack inside us of not being enough exactly how we are. So of course, how are people going to see you if you're in that energy? So if you're in the energy of being full and enough exactly how you are, then that shines out brightly, and that is where you get that energy from.
Absolutely. I don't want to gaslight women, though. There was many decades where there was either room for no woman or only one woman, right? That's where that stems from. So our society set us up and created us to feel pitted against each other. And I think very recently has it come that women are saying, no, this is bullshit. Like, there's room for all of us. There can be other women at this boardroom table. I don't need to be a token. So I think that's happening, but it's new. And with the mindset you're talking about, that could just explode if all women suddenly felt that way and weren't threatened by each other. But
I watched the movie, and I wish I could remember it. I watched it on the weekend with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And there's I don't know, it's a movie. I don't want to say documentary, but it is. it's about her life.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same thing. It's like she was the number one student in her class. She graduated with I don't know, is she actually, she started in Columbia, but then her husband got a job in New York, so she ended up going to Columbia. So I don't know if she ended up graduating with a Harvard or a Columbia degree. So I'm not sure how that worked out for her, but she was a Harvard student anyway. She was the top of her class and she could not get a job afterwards.
Yeah.
But interesting enough, it's like, that's why I say, when you still, even though like firms wouldn't hire her because they were afraid that, you know, the wise would be jealous of having a woman. I'm like, oh my God, who comes up with this stuff? Or one firm had said, no, sorry, we already have one woman. It's just like all these ridiculous things. But in the end, it's like, she always knew she was enough. Even in all that hardship, she knew she was enough. And she ended up becoming a professor and then took on landmark cases.
Yeah.
So it's like, if she did not believe in herself, she could not have gotten where she got. And she got onto the Supreme Court of Justice. So that comes from abundance inside her. Even if the world is showing her something different, she never lost that inside her.
Yeah, she believed in her talent.
Yeah, she knew she was smart. She knew the law. She knew she was the top of her class. Yeah. But she understood that the world was not ready for her yet. And that and the word is yet. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of women who had to go through this hardship, but the women who did make the change are the women who believed in themselves, who had that inside them to know that they were enough and that they would get where they wanted. It wasn't going to be maybe today or tomorrow or next year. And I think it took her, I want to say 10 years before she got to actually be in court. So I always say, don't give up. You know?
Right.
And also, too, yes, 100%. Don't want to gaslight women who have been through this, because that is their story. That is what they've been through. Doesn't it, you know what I mean? That's part of their journey. But I'm also going to say it's never too late to kind of work on that inside either. Mm-hmm. You can still have those experiences. It doesn't make those experiences not real. They are. But that doesn't mean we also can't change.
Yeah. Because I was just going to say, because the world was absolutely that way and slowly changed. And even though I'm saying it's better now and women are helping each other, we have a very long way to go. If you look at a lot of, just for example, how many boards are still very male dominated and whatnot. And by the way, research shows that when you have a 50-50 board, those companies are more successful. Someone has studied it. And because it's just, you know, men and women bring different aspects.
Oh, absolutely.
To corporations. But anyways, that could be a whole other podcast. The other thing I found interesting, because when I first started trying to research this, it was like impossible to separate aging and how people are treated in different cultures and societies in aging, because we wanted to look at how are women treated, but I just kept getting stuff on out, you know, like here's the best countries to live if you're a woman getting older. And it was mostly Northern Europe, but that was because their social systems are so amazing that for all elderly there, they just really thrive. Canada actually was on a lot of the lists. It was number one for women. Yeah, which I was kind of surprised by, but I guess it makes sense.
You didn't say where in Canada or
No, just Canada. And the US was like in the 30s, like not even, probably because of law changes recently. It's, you know, tougher to be a woman there. Yeah, not as safe, I guess. Yeah, so there was that aspect. And that in Western culture, a lot of the research I saw just said, you know, as people get older, they get lonelier and lonelier. They're often put into various versions of a retirement home where sometimes they get visited or phone calls, but they're quite lonely and separated from family. And in like Mediterranean cultures, it's Confucian theory. And I know in India, like all these other cultures, sort of Eastern world, parents are revered and all the family lives together under one roof. And the roles are that the grandparents care for the young children and the middle-aged people go out and work and make the income. And that gives purpose to the older generation and keeps them young and a purpose and energy and thriving. And it sounds quite beautiful. I'm sure it's complicated in reality. Maybe all those family dynamics under one roof. I'm sure it's a thing. And interesting, there was a law that they put in China that was like criminal if kids didn't go and visit their parents. And then they had to put it in Japan.
What?
Yeah, it's a law. They had to, because it wasn't happening. It had started falling off, and it's such a part of that culture.
So
Um,
does that mean in China they're kind of going towards a North American way where like the
it
parents
might
are
have
on
started
their own?
slipping.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
they're not all living together?
Yeah. And in France, they
Oh,
had to put a
interesting.
law in because there was a big heat wave and so many elderly died from heat exhaustion and they weren't found for weeks. So it showed this
Oh,
problem in the society that why aren't people checking on these people? Like after for weeks and weeks, no one went to check on this elderly person, and wasn't like going and
oh,
getting them somewhere cooler. So for a very real reason, a law was enacted in France as well. But just interesting seeing the different ways people were treated, and then the social services in the country you live in also depended how easy it was to age. But that's like the fundamental aspect. I feel like just your day to day. How are you supported? And then there's the how is society looking at you as a woman with gray hair or someone who is aging. I just want to read this. I think it's so insightful, and I wish I'd written it, but I didn't. It says overt ageism has been replaced by a more subtle form of ageism. Youthfulness is still the ideal, and aging remains widely feared. In other words, women are still expected to get old without any signs of aging, and are interesting to media and pop culture as long as they are used as a visible proof of a deferred aging process. Otherwise, they are made hidden from the public eye.
man.
And that's just the whole plastic surgery world, all the money, I think being spent and the pressure women are feeling too.
Yes. I think men are feeling pressure too, to be completely honest.
Oh,
I do think that there are men who are feeling the pressure too, but I think it's in a different way. Do you know what I mean? Because men are insecure too. Like I think it always comes across that men don't care about aging and that they become the silver foxes. And yes, there's that narrative, but I think men are just as insecure as women, and they just may not go to the same extremes as women will, because women, I think, honestly have more of that inner work to do, because men have always been at the top, right? So they haven't had to do as much work as far
mm,
as the self-esteem,
right.
because the self-esteem has been almost like given to them from birth,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. That's how our
that
cultures
they've,
are set up.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I talked a lot today about coming back to ourselves. Like it's really for the women, the work is the inner work.
Hmm.
And then I just was so curious, which I feel like I did a you, because I went to the pop culture kind of side just to be, because I was really curious.
Yeah.
Because a big chunk of I don't know, and I could say this wrong, but when I Googled it was like the A list movie stars, the women,
Yeah.
and the question was the A list. But what ages are these women? Because I didn't even know. And I
Yeah.
like, because this is kind of a big chunk of women that we see in pretty much all movies.
Right.
And I'm like, how old are these women? Like, they're
Right.
looking good. And it's not to say they didn't do some work, whatever, do some work. Jane Fonda has had a ton of work. The woman looks fabulous.
Yeah.
And
She said she regrets it though.
really,
Yeah.
she looks fabulous.
She goes, but I
And
think I bought myself a decade, so maybe it was worth it.
yeah. I don't care. The woman is still on. She's
Oh,
still on
gorgeous.
TV,
Gorgeous.
going hard.
Yeah.
Love her.
Yeah.
But I was looking. So your Nicole Kidman is 57, and she
Yeah.
just rocked a huge movie. So I think
Where
that
she is very sexual and like looks
yeah,
hot AF. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm thinking that we are going to see another big shift, and that's why I wanted to see how old some of these women are, because this is going to be a
Yeah.
huge part. These women are going to be instrumental in seeing that these women can age and still be relevant in pop
Yeah.
culture. Huge.
Yeah.
I love,
Hollywood had a shift. That's very new for sure.
and I think they had to, because they've
Yeah.
got these women that other women want to see. Like, I had no idea that Sandra Bullock was 60. Have you
Yeah.
seen it? She looks fabulous.
She's so beautiful. Yeah.
I didn't know Julie Roberts is 57, Halle
Yeah.
Berry's 58, Jennifer Aniston's 55.
Oh my God. Hallie looks incredible. I just saw her in the LA Fires doing live Instagram videos with no makeup, and she looks stunning.
Right?
Yeah.
And she just did a movie with your boy, Marky Mark.
Oh God. By my boy, she means he's my least favorite.
I know
Least
it.
favorite.
And she looked fab. But I didn't know she was 58. Some other people.
Oh my God, sorry, that reminds me. I saw that trailer before Baby Girl, and I was like, oh God, Marky Mark. I sang to my friend.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Anytime we talk about it,
I get riled up.
Becky gets riled up and she has a visceral reaction against him. I like Marky Mark, but whatever. Okay.
I can't handle it's just his app. I don't appreciate him making people pay to pray. That's all. I'm gonna leave it there. And in interviews, I find him to be quite assholey. I'll just leave it there. And if you want proof, I have proof of those interviews. You can DM me.
We have an ongoing conversation about this. That's quite comical.
Yeah. Kelly's like, why did I bring him up? I knew I shouldn't bring him up.
Another woman that I feel like, and again, I don't know much about pop culture. I feel like she kind of came back because I haven't seen her, and I
know who you're gonna say.
Oh, okay, Ali Larder.
Oh no, I thought you were gonna say Demi Moore.
No, Ali Larder, because she was in, if I remember correctly, she was in Heroes, which was forever ago.
I know
she.
Yeah. She looks incredible.
She's in. What is it? Homeland. Oh my God.
No, Landman.
Landman. Okay.
Yeah.
I say it wrong every time. Landman. She looks so incredible.
So good. Oh my God.
And she's 48 years old. So again, it's like, I think the idea of how women are changing, like a 48-year-old now didn't look the same. Didn't look the same.
Yeah.
Have
you seen that thing? It's like, this is how old the Golden Girls were when they filmed the Golden Girls.
I think you said that to me. Somebody said
that was like from a couple of years ago, but it was like my age,
Somebody sent it to me recently.
Okay.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And then I just saw Cameron Diaz with Jamie Foxx. They did a movie that just came out on Netflix on the weekend.
Oh,
and she's 52 and she looks.
She's 52. Wow, she looks amazing. Holy moly!
Amazing.
Yeah. I just saw I watched her do an interview with her brother-in-law, and I was like, God, Cameron still looks the same.
Who's her brother-in-law?
It's the twin of her husband. They had that band together. Okay. I want to say Blink-182, but that's Kourtney Kardashian's husband's band, right? Or is it? I'm going to have to look it up now, Kelly, because it's going to drive me nuts.
Okay.
You can keep talking.
So sorry, her husband's a twin or she's a twin?
No, her husband's a twin. They had a band. And her husband's married to Nicole Richie.
Whose husband is married
Sorry, her brother. No, sorry. So there's two twin boys.
I'm really confused right now.
There's two twin boys. And Joel Madden. Okay, so Joel Madden is married to Nicole Richie. Okay, and the name Good Charlotte was the band of the brothers.
Never heard of them.
Oh, awkward for them. Okay, big in the 90s. And then I don't want to say that. I'm sure they still have a following. I don't want to diss them. And so Joel has a podcast he does. And then Benji is married to Cameron, his twin brother.
Okay.
Yeah, so Cameron and Nicole Richie are sister-in-laws. But Demi Moore's also in Land.
I was just going to say, what you will learn from hanging out with Becky.
No, it's not great. I know. I love how you're like, and I did a you, and that is like a scary thing for anyone to say to someone. You're like, what are they going to say of me is? And then you're like, pop culture. I'm like, okay, I could live with that. Demi Moore's also in Landman, and she's had a resurgence. She just won the Golden Globe for her movie. And I don't know how old Demi is, but
let's Google that.
She's also now taking over in Landman as like more of a lead. So she's in that. She just won the Globe. She's up for an Oscar, I believe.
62.
Wow.
Holy.
Yeah. And she looks stunning. She's so beautiful.
She's definitely had some work done. There's no question about that.
I think most of them have.
Yeah. I'm not against doing work. I feel like everybody thinks I'm so against it because I do prefer the natural way. Yeah. I'm not against anything. I feel like if I had to say this, my fear is more so that we're putting stuff in our bodies that is toxic and causing more inflammation in the body, that's causing more yeah, just more harm long term for that short term gain is
But
what
that's why people think you're against it.
well, no. I said I had a fear. I didn't say I
Okay.
can't do it.
Okay.
I don't, and I'm not saying don't do it by
Yeah.
any means. I don't, because some people can do it their whole lives and nothing will ever happen. And other
Right.
people will do it once or twice and have these absolute adverse,
Yeah.
crazy reactions.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, like, that's where my fear is that, you know, what is that going to look like for you?
Yeah.
But I actually have zero judgment of anybody who does any work.
Okay.
And I look at Jane Fonda and I think, damn, she looks so good at her age, and she definitely had a good plastic surgeon, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? I may do that when I'm not, well, in my 70s, I don't know. How old is she now?
Who?
Jane.
Jane is 80s.
She's 87.
Yeah.
I may do that. Let's just leave it. Who knows?
There's a new one. There's a new thing that they're all getting. All of the reality stars are getting, and it is wild. Like, people do look like babies. Whoever the Kathy Hilton's plastic surgeon person is, find his name, because wow, does she look 40 years younger?
Really?
Yeah. There's some amazing stuff.
Well, there's I was talking with a patient the other day. We were talking about, she had, I cannot for the life of me think of what it's called, but they put your blood on your face.
Oh yeah, but that doesn't do. I don't think that's a big.
Oh really? I thought I was just like, well, I'm sorry, I don't understand. So it's like, yeah, but
a lot of influencers film themselves getting that, like they reinsert it, little needle, like.
Apparently it's very painful, but she said that. But I thought I did one microderm abrasion. Yeah. Holy crap. I don't know. Maybe I'm I do have a high tolerance for pain. Yeah. But that was freaking painful. Like, that was very, very painful. Like, enough that I was like, made me consider whether or not. I was thinking, no, I'd probably rather just be knocked out. You do the work. And that might be a little easier than torturing myself once a week or whatever the schedule is. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I don't know.
But see how many things there are for women to do to try and look like there's literally hundreds of things to do to look younger.
I'm not against looking your best. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to look your best. If looking your best makes you feel your best, again, you know what I mean? But don't harm yourself to do it. That's my big thing.
The other thing is, like, I can't handle how people say Pamela Anderson is brave for going out without makeup all the time now. Like, that's her new thing, right? She doesn't wear makeup and she goes on all these red carpets. And they're like, she's so brave. I'm like, oh my God.
Okay, we need to have a new definition of brave.
Yes.
Sorry, not a new definition. We need to give the definition of what actually brave is.
Yes. Yeah. Brave are the firefighters in LA right now. Like, first of all, Pam is stunning without, it's ridiculous to call her brave. Can we please stop calling her brave for not wearing makeup on red carpet? She's so naturally beautiful. Anyways, that just reminded me of that. Like, come on. And also, she's had a resurgence. She's got her movie Showgirl out that's been nominated for everything. So the older women are kind of taking over right now in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think she's another good example of someone who she's done the inner work to get to that place. Yeah. Because she knew she had to show up right down, not even just like the outside appearance, but everything from what came out of her mouth. Like, she had to dumb herself down in order to be able to, I feel like, fit the dumb blonde bimbo that she put out to the world.
That persona she put out? Yeah, for sure.
So I think that to go from that to where she is today, that's work. That's a lot of work to get to that place, to feel that confidence that I am enough exactly how I am and that I don't need all of this. That's huge.
Yes. It was funny. So Paul and I had a little disagreement last night too. And I was telling him, I was like, it's crazy how men do get more powerful. And there's these terms, silver foxes, and a man could date any woman, like, as they get older, they don't really have to worry. And he said, that's only wealthy men, though. He's like, a poor guy can't get any woman as he gets older. And I said, I don't know if that's true. I really don't. I feel like I hear so many women say, men my age don't want to date me. And men younger than me, it's tough for them to date me. Although, shout out to Madonna. Madonna's got a much younger boyfriend, and so does Cher. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny. We kind of disagreed on that. And I don't know. Well, is there a right answer? Who knows? I stand by, I think that in general, men have a lot more dating opportunities as they get older than women as they age.
I think I'm a little bit more of a Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think that, and just in the sense of, I had a conversation with someone, and they were saying that their friend, who is also a single male, was saying to him, "Oh, you're really lucky because you own your own home, you have a good job, you get paid well." So he was a good package, shall we say,
right,
for
ticking some boxes.
Women.
Right.
Yeah, ticking some boxes. So the fact that he owned his own house, boom. Do you know what I mean? The fact that he had a good job, boom. The fact that he has a large income, boom. So that's attractive. So it didn't matter what he looked like, or that he was a good person, or that he was kind or generous or loving. None of those things were in the equation.
Right.
So I think men have this thing that they think that that's all women are going for. And I don't know. I think we're going to be... we would be wrong to say that that's not.
There is
for some women, not all women, but some women.
Yeah, some women are raised to just go for that, and they do go for that, and that's why you see really young girls with wealthy older men. But I think, I don't know. Okay, well, we can agree to disagree. I think it's easier for men to date, regardless of income, as they age. I think women are more open to dating an older man, even if he's not rich, than an older man is of dating a woman his age.
I feel like a lot of women just want a man who's got their shit together. I think that that's a really big thing. Honestly, I really do. I think that they want men to do some work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They want men to definitely have their shit together.
I think a lot of married women would say they want their husbands to get their shit together.
100%. I will agree with that.
That's the woman's plight to life.
Yes, 100%. But I think when women are looking for prospects, there's definitely going to be certain women who just want a man to look and be a certain way as far as wealth and as far as personal assets. That's really attractive to some women. To other women, it's like, I just need a man who's got their shit together.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Who doesn't drink all day long.
Yes.
Or, you know,
or needs a caretaker. Yes. I don't want to caretake anymore.
Or a mom.
Oh, yes.
Take care of them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you.
And I think a lot of women, in the conversations that I've had recently, it's kind of interesting too. A lot of women want younger men because they're not looking to be somebody's mom. They're not looking to take care of a guy. Do you know what I mean? So there's going to be I think women are a little bit more picky, I think, then.
Oh, for sure. Especially as we get older and wiser. Absolutely. Maybe men are still just like, there's a warm body. I don't know. Yeah. It's so, I mean, there's so many types. It's so vague. Like, it's such a generalization thing, right?
Well, yeah. And if you think about it, is it your first marriage or is it your second marriage? Because I think a lot of young girls, they want a guy who's going to take care of them. Even if they're making their own money, they still want a guy who's going to take care of them.
You think so? Today?
I think that message is still there. I think that there's a lot of women who can take care of themselves. Doesn't mean that they don't have their own money, but I think that they also want to be with somebody who's also ambitious and has their own stuff. And then you've got the women who are the second marriages, and they're realizing that, money's not going to make that marriage last. It's not going to bring love. None of that stuff is real. And that they're actually looking for a man with their shit together. Right.
Totally. Yeah. When you're with that person every day, it doesn't matter what the bank account says.
Yeah. I think for the young girls, there's still, and I can be wrong. I'm just saying, just what you see out in society, I feel like a lot of young girls still want a man who can hold his own, because you've got these men who bring status to them too, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, being attracted to a driven man or a guy who also wants success and has goals, if you have that,
Yeah.
sure. Um, but I think any girl who maybe, I don't know, I think if a girl's making her own money, it would be less about how much money does he have. I don't know. It's also probably cultural. Maybe in the States it's more that way.
I don't know. Yeah.
That will be my next thing to research.
Okay. I can't wait to hear what you come up with. Yeah.
There was one other thing I wanted to read, and I just think it's lovely. And this is the woman who did the essay that I said. It was from that. She said, I hope what I say confirms the reality that we are more than old ladies, quote unquote, and we can eventually remove the implication that old ladies are used up, quotes. Together we can unlearn some of society's attitudes, which I think is the work that's just starting to happen.
Yeah, I do. I believe it is. I think we are in this movement of being more than that. I think a big part of us coming into this new way of being seen is understanding the perimenopause, understanding the menopause, understanding where we are. And I know that that seems like a giant leap for some people, but I think that there's so many women who don't know what's going on in their own bodies, don't, you know what I mean? Like, are going through such tough times that I think it comes into this place where there's so much more depression, there's so much more anxiety, there's all of these
Loneliness.
things loneliness and all this stuff that's coming in, and that shuts down our inner light, right? How are we seen if we don't have that? Does that make sense?
Totally. I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing the work I'm doing with the young girls, because I want the next generation to have it all be inside and don't look for it outside. Know yourself.
Know yourself and come home to yourself. You
Yeah.
are all, you have the answer to every question you ever asked. You are your own true love. Like, it's not something on the outside. It's inside.
Yes. Which reminds me, side note, I put out on social media, but I know a lot of people are distracted. So if anyone has family in LA, for any girls in LA, like, please just DM me on Worthfulness, and I'm happy to give you the program complimentary, or parents or teachers. I know schools are burned down. I think teachers are thinking, what do we do with these kids when it all comes back? So it's virtual, it's some online programming. And for a girl who's gone through a natural disaster, I think it would be extra helpful. So please, send me a DM, and I'll let any girls in LA to have that for complimentary right now as my tiny little thing that could help. I know people still need like toothpaste and food and toilet paper, but you're also just sitting there for hours at a time with these teens and young girls and college kids. And so it's also a way to fill the time and distract. So I put that out there on social, but just in case anyone has family in LA.
Oh, that's such a beautiful gift. That's wonderful.
Yeah, hopefully more people take me up on it. We'll see. I think they're distracted right now, but even if you hear this later, still reach out. Okay, women. So this is on us. You know, we've got to help move this forward in societies and cultures. And as Kelli said, it comes from inside. So we're all out here fighting the good fight if it's a fight. Just be looking out for the women as they get older in their life. And for women that are getting older, please, think about that intrinsic work that Kelli talked about.
Yeah. And if I can say anything, the older women, this is where all the wisdom is. These are the women who have pioneered for you to be where you are right now, for you to have the jobs that you have, for you to be able to go to the schools that you're going to, for you to be able to blossom and be the beautiful woman that you are. Somebody else had to go through something very difficult to get there. So when you see older women, ask them their story. Like, it is amazing what women have been through.
Yes.
And it's just really try and connect. And I think it'll give you deeper meaning of what it is to be a woman this day and age. So that's my one hope, that you can find somebody, whether it's your grandmother or maybe it's a neighbor, or maybe you're on the bus and you happen to sit beside someone. spark up a conversation and ask them about their lives. They want to tell you, and they have the most wisdom to share. So, yeah.
Yeah, they were the trailblazers.
They were.
I love that. Yeah.
You don't have to be famous to be a trailblazer. You
Yeah.
don't.
Right. Yes.